Education has become basic in all societies and nations across the globe. Today, every country devotes large resources to providing education to its citizens. It is generally agreed that education has great benefits to society as well as individuals, both economically and socially. However, the education systems in countries tend to vary in many ways since they are continuously developed based on the cultures of the societies to meet the needs of the nations and societies. It is therefore important to understand the unique features of different education systems to be able to borrow important aspects and modify them to improve education systems. Education in the United States and Saudi Arabia has several similarities and differences that make the education systems unique. My main interest in the study is to understand the extent to which religion has influenced education in Saudi Arabia. Being an Islamic country, education in the country is highly influenced by Islamic religious practices and cultures, and this has led to relatively low literacy rates in the country as compared to the United States. Similarities in the two education systems exist in terms of government spending on education, education for people with disabilities or special needs as well as the freedom to choose the school to attend. However, the differences in the education systems exist in the stages of education, the influence of religion in school, as well as literacy rates. The United States and the Saudi Arabian governments spend significant resources on their education system. Currently, Saudi Arabia is investing heavily in the education sector to improve education facilities and infrastructure and to improve girls' education in the country. The Saudi Arabian government has increased awareness of the benefits of education to Saudi Arabians, and this has increased the need to improve the education system as well as facilities. For example, the World Bank reports that in 2004 alone, the Saudi Arabian government dedicated about 27.6% of its expenditure, which translated into 6.8% of the country's GDP, to the education sector. The Saudi Arabian government provides free basic education in elementary and secondary education in all publicly funded schools. This also happens in the United States where the federal, state and local governments provide free compulsory basic education in public schools to learners up to grade 12. In both systems, the government subsidizes books, meals as well as transportation for school-going children. Again, the United States federal government provides scholarships and loans to post-secondary school students. The Saudi Arabian government also provides finances to students learning in public universities. Again, in both systems, the learners have the freedom to choose the school to attend. Learners have the right to join home school, public or private school. Many factors influence the parents' choice of the school to take the child to. Some parents prefer to enroll their children in public schools since they are either subsidized or free, while there are those who prefer private to public because they believe that private schools offer better quality education. However, there are others who believe that they can tailor the curriculum to best suit the needs of their children, in their opinion. In the United States, there are schools for special needs learners who are taught by special education teachers trained in adapting curricula that best meet the needs of such learners. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which is a federal law, requires government-funded schools in all the states across the United States to provide education services that meet the needs of learners with special needs. Saudi Arabian government has also established special schools for special needs students. They have special educational facilities as well as special education teachers trained to meet the needs of these learners. The education systems of the two countries are different although learners complete the same number of years in school. Saudi Arabia follows the 6-3-3-4 curriculum, while the United States follows the 4-4-2-2-4. University years may vary depending on the degree course or program. Some courses take 4 years while others may take as long as 6 years. One major difference that exists between the two education systems is sex segregation. In Saudi Arabia, education is segregated by sex in that boys attend different schools from girls. According to Dilek, education in Saudi Arabia is based on the Wahhabi interpretation of the Quran, which emphasizes on strict observation of segregation of sexes. The kind of education provided to boys has been superior compared to that offered to girls for a very long time, although things have begun to change. The government has embarked on improving girls' education. Girls were only provided with an education that suited their gender roles in society. However, in the United States, girls and boys have equal opportunities for education attainment. Another major variation exists in the influence of religion on the education system. Islam is the core of the Saudi Arabian education system. According to Johnson, the education curriculum is based on the Sharia law, where one major aim of education is to encourage learners to become religious citizens. Thus, education at the secondary level focuses mainly on Islamic as well as Arabic studies. In contrast, education in the United States does not focus on religion, although religious subjects are part of the curriculum. The United States is a multi-religious country and therefore does not emphasize on a particular religion. One variation that exists between the United States and Saudi Arabian education is the attitude toward education. In the United States, education is mandatory and almost universal at elementary and secondary levels. School districts provide funding and meet to discuss the curricula, teaching as well as other policies. However, in Saudi Arabia, the government does not enforce mandatory school attendance. The government only encourages children to attend free elementary and secondary schools. The variation in attitudes has caused significant differences in literacy rates. The literacy rate for the United States stands at 99% for both men and women, while that of Saudi Arabia is about 79.4% for females above age 15 and 89.1% for males above age 15. The low literacy rates in Saudi Arabia have increased the concern of the government, and as such, has established mechanisms to reduce the literacy rates, especially among girls and adults, through literacy programs. The United States has maintained improving its education programs to ensure that as many people as possible access education. The education systems in the United States and Saudi Arabia have similarities and significant differences which make the education systems unique. Both have education systems that have been influenced by the different cultures in the two countries. The education system is heavily influenced by the Islamic religion, while that of the United States is influenced by the diversity in its cultures, high level of democracy and modernization in the society. As a result, education in the United States is mandatory at the elementary and secondary level, while that of Saudi Arabia is out of choice. This has created a significant disparity between their literacy rates. Study Corgi can help you make your studies smarter. Visit studycorgi.com for more samples like this, study tips, and writing tools.